The attack on Halcyon Ridge came without any warning. The outpost floated on the quiet edge of human space, far from busy trade routes and far from any sign of danger. For years, people believed that the Arcaris Empire only watched humanity from a distance. They never spoke. They never sent ships close. They never offered peace or war. They stayed silent. That silence ended in one terrible moment. The attack began with a flash that sensors barely caught. One moment Halcyon Ridge stood strong, its lights glowing like small stars. The next moment the outpost shook under a sudden and violent blast. Alarms rang through every hallway. Metal screamed as it bent and tore away. Fires spread fast and the station drifted off its axis. Lieutenant Aaron Blake, the last officer still standing on the command deck, tried to send a warning before the power collapsed completely. Smoke filled the air and sparks burst from broken panels. Aaron knew the station would not survive. He set the communication system to record, hoping at least one message would escape before the Empire's ships finished their work. His voice trembled as he spoke. He said the Empire had fired the first shot. He said they were not afraid of humans. They were afraid of something else that humanity might become. He gave no details because he did not have any. Before he could say more, the deck shook again. The flames climbed higher. The screen flickered and died. A minute later, Halcyon Ridge was gone. The outpost broke apart and scattered into the cold dark of space, leaving only small pieces tumbling in silence. On Earth, Commander Ryan Cole received the news while he was reviewing defense reports at Strategic Defense Command. When the alert reached him, he stood still for several seconds, unable to believe it. He requested the raw footage, hoping it was a mistake. The moment he saw the first frame of the destroyed outpost, he knew it was real. Ryan did not raise his voice or panic. He felt a heavy weight settle inside his chest, a weight he had feared for years. He called for the full communications log from Halcyon Ridge. At first, the file looked corrupted. It contained only fragments of sound and broken frames of video, but something in it caught his eye. A faint voice behind the static. He asked the system to clean the audio. Minutes later, communications specialist Megan Price arrived at his side. She was young and focused, with fast hands and a calm presence even during tense moments. Ryan trusted her skills more than anyone else on the team. She listened to the damaged recording with deep concentration. Most of it was noise, but she noticed the same strange pattern Ryan had seen. A short echo behind the static, a faint rhythm that did not sound natural. She adjusted the filters again. Slowly, the voice of Lieutenant Aaron Blake began to push through the noise. His final message played clearly for the first time since the attack. Megan listened closely. Ryan watched her reaction. She paused the audio and replayed sections of it. She seemed bothered by something. When the recording ended, she looked at Ryan. "There's something else hidden in the message," she said. Ryan frowned. "Hidden how?" "It's coded," Megan replied. "Not in our standard system. It's something he added manually, but I can pull it apart." Ryan nodded once. "Do it." While Megan worked, Ryan sent orders across the base. He asked for a full review of long-range sensors. He asked for a search for any unusual movement near the solar borders. He asked for status reports from Earth's defense platforms. He knew the Empire would not fire one shot and then vanish. This attack meant something. It was the beginning of something large. Across the command room, screens lit up with updates. People rushed with data pads and spoke in low, urgent voices. Ryan stayed still, watching everything. When Megan finally approached, she looked uneasy. "I found the hidden message," she said. Ryan gave her his full attention. "It's not a warning to us," she said. "It's a question." He said the Empire attacked because they were afraid of what humanity might become. This coded message explains what he meant. Ryan leaned in. "Show me." Megan brought up a cleaned version of the code. The message was short, only a few lines. Ryan read it slowly. The Arcaris Empire, according to the lieutenant, had intercepted something weeks before the attack, something that did not come from Earth, something that mentioned humans, something that scared them. "What did they intercept?" Ryan asked. Megan shook her head. The message cut off before he explained, but he tried to send the source. "It's damaged, but I think I can recover it." Ryan nodded. "Recover whatever you can, and Megan," she looked up. "Good work," he said quietly. She gave a small smile and went back to her station. Hours later, another alert reached Earth. Multiple ships from the Arcaris Empire had crossed the border into human space. It was not a small scouting force. It was a fleet, a large one. Ryan stood in front of the main display as the shapes appeared one by one. The fleet moved with slow, confident precision. No attempt at hiding. No attempt at talking. They came forward as if expecting no resistance. Ryan felt the weight inside his chest tighten. He contacted Earth's upper leadership. A meeting was called at once. Within minutes, the top political and military leaders gathered through secure lines. General Olivia Carter joined as well, appearing on the main screen. She was sharp-minded, steady, and respected by almost everyone. She was not someone who spoke without purpose. Ryan briefed the group. He showed the footage of Halcyon Ridge. He shared the partially recovered message. He showed the movement of the Empire's fleet. When he finished, the room fell silent. One of the political leaders finally spoke. "We should wait. If we respond too quickly, we might start a war." General Carter leaned forward. "They already started it." Another leader argued that Earth was not ready for a full war. Another said they needed to try talking first. Another questioned whether humanity could stand against a force as large and advanced as the Arcaris Empire. General Carter listened to all of them. When everyone finished speaking, she asked a single question. "How many more attacks do we need before we admit that this is not a misunderstanding?" No one answered. She turned to Ryan. "What is your assessment?" Ryan spoke calmly. "The Empire believes they must destroy us before something else happens. We do not know what that something is, but we know they will not stop." The room grew tense. General Carter nodded once. "Then we must prepare Earth." There were no cheers, no dramatic declarations. Only quiet acceptance. The decision was made. Once the meeting ended, Ryan returned to the command center. He found Megan still working at her station. Her eyes were fixed on a stream of scrambled data. "Any progress?" Ryan asked. Megan rubbed her forehead. "The source file is badly damaged, but I recovered part of the header. It wasn't created by the Empire. It wasn't created by us. It came from somewhere else in the galaxy." Ryan felt a chill. Something sent a message about humanity. "Yes," she said, "and whatever it was, the Empire saw it first." Before Ryan could ask more, a new alert sounded, loud and sharp. Everyone looked up. The Empire's fleet had changed course. They were heading straight for the Sol system, the command room filled with movement. Officers sent updates. Engineers checked power systems. Tactical teams prepared defensive plans. Ryan stepped forward. "How long until they reach us?" he asked. The answer came quickly. 3 days if they maintain current speed. 3 days, not enough time, but also more time than he expected. Ryan sent priority orders to every defense site around Earth. He contacted General Carter. He prepared requests for emergency planetary protocols. Megan approached him again, holding a data pad. "I found one more thing," she said quietly. "It's not part of the message. It's something else that came through with the signal." Ryan took the pad. There was only one line of text on it. He read it twice. Then he looked at Megan. "Is this real?" he asked. "It came from the same source," she said, "and the Empire saw it before we did." Ryan stared at the line again. The message was simple, almost too simple. It said that humanity was dangerous not because of what it was now, but because of what it would become. Ryan lowered the pad. "We need to prepare Earth," he said. The Empire had fired the first shot. Now the galaxy was changing, and no one could turn back what was coming. The next 72 hours would decide everything. Earth entered the longest 3 days in its history. As the Empire's fleet moved closer to the Sol system, everyone felt the pressure growing around them. The whole planet sensed the danger approaching, even if most people did not know the full details. At Strategic Defense Command, Commander Ryan Cole worked without rest. Each hour brought new reports, new updates, and new pieces of information that shaped the plan for the coming confrontation. Ryan studied the fleet's formation again on the main screen. The Arcaris warships moved in a long arc that slowly tightened as they crossed human space. Their formation showed confidence. They did not expect resistance strong enough to bother them. They did not even slow down after the destruction of Halcyon Ridge. The Empire was moving with the force of something that wanted a fast and final end. Megan Price approached with a new set of numbers, her steps quick and her face tired. She had barely slept, and even when she did, her sleep lasted only minutes. The long-range sensors caught another transmission from the Empire's fleet, she said. Ryan looked up. Anything important? Only basic signals between their ships, she said, but they are shifting some of their formation. It looks like they are preparing for an attack run the moment they arrive. Ryan nodded slowly. So they plan to strike first again. Megan gave a small sigh. It seems so. Ryan thanked her and sent the data to the tactical teams. He watched as they updated projections on the holographic map. Dots representing Earth's defenses rearranged themselves. Lines of attack formed, shifted, and broke apart. People moved all around him, but Ryan kept his thoughts calm and steady. Every decision he made now would matter when the Empire reached the system. Across the command center, messages arrived from all over Earth. Cities reported that shelters were filling. Hospitals requested extra supplies. Emergency teams prepared for the worst. Some people were frightened, but most stayed calm. Earth had faced disasters before, though none as large as this one. General Olivia Carter called again for a full update. Her face appeared on the main screen, looking composed even under the pressure. "Commander, give me the numbers," she said. Ryan summarized the latest fleet movements, the recovery of the coded message, and the status of Earth's defenses. General Carter listened closely without interrupting. When he finished, she said, "The Political Council approved the full activation of the defense grid. You have control of it now. Make sure it is used wisely." Ryan nodded. "We will be ready when they arrive." "And the broadcast?" she asked. "It is prepared," Ryan said. "Captain Laura Pierce is rehearsing it." General Carter's eyes softened. "Good. Once it is transmitted, there is no taking it back." Ryan already understood this. The message would go out to every species with a listening station. It was not only for the Empire. It would speak to the galaxy itself. They ended the call. Ryan looked around the room again and saw how focused everyone was. No one complained. No one panicked. They all knew what was at stake. Meanwhile, Captain Laura Pierce stood in a quiet recording chamber deep inside the building. A large microphone and a simple screen sat in front of her. She practiced the message again and again. Her voice stayed calm, steady, and level. Nothing in her tone sounded angry. Nothing sounded frightened. The message she would soon deliver was short but strong. It told the galaxy that Earth did not want war. It also made clear that Earth would not be destroyed quietly. It was not a threat. It was not a plea. It was a statement that every species could understand however they wished. Outside the chamber, members of the transmission team listened. Some nodded approvingly. Others still looked nervous. But no one doubted that Laura was the right choice for the broadcast. As Laura practiced, Megan continued digging through the damaged message source. She refused to stop until she recovered everything she could. Her fingers moved across the console with quick, sharp motions. Streams of symbols filled her screen, some understandable, others broken beyond repair. After another hour of work, Megan froze. She leaned in closer to the monitor. There was something new. She immediately saved the discovery and ran to Ryan, who stood near the tactical display. "I found another line," she said. Ryan turned quickly. "Show me." She held up her pad. The new line was short, but it made both of them stare. It read, "They will rise only if pushed." Ryan read it 3 times. This wasn't a warning about us becoming violent on our own. "No," Megan said quietly. "It means humanity becomes dangerous only in response to something else." Ryan looked at the incoming fleet, feeling a cold understanding settle inside him. "The Empire saw this line," he said, "and they believed we were a threat waiting to happen." "And they panicked," Megan said. "They attacked because they wanted to prevent a future that might not have even happened." Ryan closed his eyes briefly. "They made the future they feared more likely." The message made it clearer. The Empire had misunderstood everything. They were not fighting something dangerous. They were creating it. Ryan sent the update to General Carter. She read it and responded with a steady voice. "This only proves what we already know," she said. "The Empire will not stop. We must show them why they must." The second day arrived. The Empire's fleet came halfway across the remaining distance. Their movement was smooth and direct. They did not change direction. They did not send messages. They moved forward with the weight of inevitability. Ryan spent the morning reviewing new simulations with tactical officers. The room filled with soft beeps and quiet discussion as the officers analyzed possible strikes, defensive maneuvers, and fallback plans. Ryan watched every model carefully. He did not look for perfect strategies. There were none. He looked for ways to survive long enough to send Earth's message. Daniel Brooks also kept working in the orbiting facility. Eyes were red and his hands shook from lack of sleep, but he continued adjusting power networks, stabilizing connections, and preparing the secret grid that would defend Earth. When Ryan checked in through a holographic call, Daniel gave a worried smile. "We're holding together," Daniel said, "but the system is older than it looks. I hope it listens when you give the order." "It will," Ryan said gently. Daniel nodded. "I hope you're right." Meanwhile, Laura Pierce met with the transmission team again. They finalized the timing of the broadcast. It would go out the moment the Empire crossed a certain distance into the system. That way, every sensor and every listening station would hear it at the same time. Laura understood the importance of her role. She also understood the danger. If Earth failed to defend itself, the message would become the last words humanity ever sent into space. Back on Earth's surface, civilians prepared for the incoming threat. Families gathered in underground shelters. Schools closed, trains carried people to safer districts. Emergency lights glowed across city streets as night arrived. Still, Earth did not fall into panic. There were no riots. There were no desperate crowds. People understood the situation and trusted their defense forces. Ryan spent the second night at his station. The lights of the command room dimmed slightly but never turned off. The screens continued to flash. Officers continued to work. No one asked for rest. Megan brought him a cup of water and sat beside him for a moment. "You've been standing for hours," she said softly. "So have you," Ryan replied. She smiled faintly, then grew serious again. "Do you think they will attack immediately?" Ryan looked at the screen showing the Empire's formation. "Yes, they want to finish this fast." Megan stared at the display. "Then we have to move faster." Ryan nodded. The second night passed into morning. The fleet was now close enough to show clear ship shapes on the sensors. Large bodies of metal glowing with pale blue engines, rows of weapons mounted along their sides. Everyone grew silent when the first clear image appeared on the main screen. It felt like a shadow had fallen over the room. "It's real now," someone whispered. Ryan stood tall. "Begin final preparations." Teams rushed into position. Messages flew across the system. Stations powered up their main shields. The secret defense grid waited for activation. Just before noon on the third day, General Carter appeared on the main display one last time. "They will arrive in a few hours," she said. "The Council has approved all defensive actions. Commander Cole, you have full authority." Ryan nodded. "We're ready." General Carter held his gaze with calm, steady eyes. "Then hold the line." The call ended. The last hours before the arrival passed slowly. Every second felt heavy. Megan ran final checks on the sensor arrays. Daniel confirmed that the defense grid was stable. Laura prepared herself in the broadcast chamber, sitting straight and calm. When the Empire finally crossed into the outer boundary of the Sol system, an alert rang across the command center. A loud, sharp sound that echoed through the room. Everyone looked at Ryan. He stood still for a moment, letting the weight settle fully onto his shoulders. Then he said, "Begin Phase 1." The room exploded into movement. The defense platforms around Earth activated. Their lights glowed bright. Power surged through hidden networks. Shields hummed to life. At the same moment, Captain Laura Pierce began the broadcast. Her voice traveled across the system and across the galaxy. It carried strength without shouting, calm without weakness. She told the galaxy that Earth did not seek war but would not kneel. She said humanity had survived many past dangers and would rise again. She ended with a line meant for the Empire and anyone else who listened: "Run while you still can." The words spread through space like thunder. Ryan watched the Empire's fleet carefully as the message reached them. Their formation hesitated for the first time, not by much but enough to show they had heard. Megan whispered, "It reached them." Ryan remained steady. "Good, now let's see their answer." The answer came as a bright line of energy firing toward the defense grid. The Empire had chosen to attack. Ryan lifted his head. "Phase 2, activate the grid." Space around Earth lit with power. The first shot began the battle that would decide the fate of humanity. And the galaxy listened as Earth's message echoed louder than anyone expected. The first shot from the Empire's fleet crossed the dark space between stars and struck the outer layer of Earth's defense grid. A bright flash spread across the holographic screens inside Strategic Defense Command. The entire room felt a small vibration as the energy rippled through the system. Ryan Cole stood at the center of the command room watching the impact carefully. His jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "Status," he said. A systems officer replied. "The grid held, no breach." Ryan nodded once. "Prepare for the next strike." The Empire did not give them long to prepare. A second blast followed, stronger than the first. The grid brightened again. A rumble passed through the facility. Megan Price checked the readings from her console. Her hands moved quickly, adjusting settings and analyzing patterns. "They are testing our defenses," she said, "seeing how much power the grid can take." Ryan answered, "They want to see where we break." Megan stared at the screen. "Then we don't break." Across the system, Earth's defense platforms activated in full. Dozens of stations far above the planet turned toward the incoming fleet. Their engines glowed, their shields expanded, their weapons charged. Inside an orbiting facility, Daniel Brooks watched the power levels climb higher than he ever imagined they could. Sweat rolled down his forehead as he checked every connection. He whispered to himself, "Hold together, just hold together." When the third blast from the Empire hit, the grid shook harder. Some lights flickered inside the command room. Officers glanced around nervously but continued working. Ryan said, "Return fire." Earth's response shot through space in a wide arc. The energy from the defense stations hit one of the Empire's smaller ships. It shook from the impact, glowing from the heat. But it did not fall. The Empire's armor was thick and strong. Still, the message was clear. Earth could fight back. As the battle began, Captain Laura Pierce's broadcast continued to spread across the galaxy. It echoed through relay stations, moving from world to world. Many species listened with surprise, some with fear, others with curiosity. Some whispered, "The humans are standing against the Empire." Others said, "They warned them to run." For the first time in many years, the galaxy turned its attention toward Earth. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. Back in the Sol system, the Empire's fleet began to move closer. Their large ships reshaped their formation. They formed 3 lines, each designed to strike from different angles. Megan pointed to the display. "They are preparing a full assault." Ryan studied the lines. "They want to break the grid in one large strike." "Can we hold?" Megan asked quietly. Ryan did not answer at once. He looked at the numbers, he looked at the timing, he looked at the grid's power levels. Finally, he said, "We will hold long enough." Megan nodded and continued working. Below them on Earth, civilians in shelters listened as the distant hum of defense systems vibrated through the ground. Some people sat together quietly, others prayed, others simply waited. A young boy asked his mother, "Will the ships break through?" She held him close and said softly, "Not today." In the orbiting facility, Daniel watched the power grid shift dangerously. He shouted at a technician beside him, "Reroute power to the northern relays. If we don't do it now, the grid will overload." The technician rushed to obey. Daniel pressed his hand against a screen. The system warmed under his touch. "Come on," he whispered. "Don't fail now." Back at Strategic Defense Command, the Empire began its full assault. 3 enormous blasts of energy cut through space at once. They were brighter and stronger than anything fired before. The entire command room shook. Lights dimmed. Some officers grabbed the sides of their stations. Megan shouted, "Power drain rising. The grid can't take many hits like that." Ryan gripped the edge of the tactical table. "We only need it to take a few." The blasts hit. The grid glowed so brightly that it lit up half the screens in the room. Sparks flew from one console. Several alarms rang loudly, but the grid did not break. Ryan took a deep breath. "Return fire, all stations." Across space, Earth's defense stations fired in unison. Streams of energy crossed each other like glowing threads. They hit several ships in the Empire's front line. One of the Empire's destroyers shook violently. Flames burst from its side. It spun slowly out of formation. Another ship took damage along its hull. Black smoke leaked into space. For the first time, the Empire felt resistance strong enough to matter. Megan watched the readings. "We damaged them, not enough, but we did." Ryan stayed focused. "They know we won't fall in one strike. The Empire shifted again. Their ships began to spread out, creating a net-like formation that grew wider and moved faster. Ryan saw it immediately. They're going to try to surround us. Megan's eyes widened. Can we stop them? Won't try to stop them, Ryan said. We will guide them. Megan looked confused. Guide them where? Ryan pointed to a region near the defense grid. There, where our platform fire is strongest. He gave instructions quickly, and tactical teams adjusted Earth's fire patterns. The stations fired in specific directions, not to destroy but to push the Empire's fleet into a narrow line of approach. Slowly, the Empire moved into the channel Ryan created. Megan stared. You're shaping the battlefield. Nodded. If we can't overpower them, we control where they stand. Electric sparks flickered above the ceiling as the grid absorbed another hit. A string of warnings filled the room. Daniel's voice suddenly came over the system. Ryan, the grid can't take another full strike. If they fire at maximum again, we might lose 2 sections. Ryan replied, Can you stabilize it? Daniel's voice was tense. Only if we shut down the outer shield rings, but that will leave weak points. Ryan thought quickly. Megan turned to him. That's dangerous. We don't have a choice, Ryan said. If the grid collapses, everything falls. Daniel went to work. His hands flew across the controls. The facility shook as power shifted. At the same moment, the Empire fired their next attack. This time, their blast was stronger. It cut through space like a blade. It hit the grid at an angle that caused a massive surge. The lights inside the command room flickered off, then back on. Several stations went offline. Officers shouted to one another. Ryan braced himself. Report. Megan examined the readings. Her voice shook slightly as she said, We lost outer ring 6, but the inner rings held. The grid is still standing. Relief flashed across Ryan's face for only a second. Then his expression hardened. We cannot take another direct hit like that. Outside the planet, the battle grew brighter. Earth's defense stations continued firing, doing their best to strike the Empire's vulnerable spots. The Empire fired back with crushing force. Ships from both sides glowed with heat and burned with damage. The Empire's front line lost another smaller ship. It broke apart and fell away. Ryan pointed to the map. Their left flank is weak. Push fire there. Megan sent the orders and the stations responded. More energy blasts shot across the sky and struck the Empire's left side. The Empire shifted again, tightening their formation. Then something unexpected happened. Their fleet slowed. Ryan leaned forward. Why are they slowing? Megan checked the readings twice before answering. They heard the message. They are reconsidering their attack. Ryan studied the screen carefully. The Empire did not retreat. They simply hesitated. It's working, Megan said quietly. Your battlefield control, the broadcast, everything. But Ryan knew hesitation was not victory. They won't stop, he said. Not yet. After a short pause, the Empire fired again. But this time their strike was weaker. They were no longer trying to destroy the grid in one blow. They were trying to test again. Ryan straightened. They're unsure. Megan whispered. The message shook them. Ryan said, Good, now we use that. He ordered the defense stations to fire with controlled precision. Not too strong, not too weak. Enough to hurt, but not to provoke a reckless final strike. Slowly, the battle changed rhythm. It became a push and pull. Earth held its line. The Empire tested the line. The grid shook. Stations glowed. Ships struggled. Daniel's voice came through again. Ryan, the grid is stable now, but the power levels are near their limit. Ryan answered, We only need to hold until they change course. How do you know they will? Daniel asked. Ryan looked at the screen showing the Empire's hesitation, because they expected us to be weak. As the minutes passed, the Empire's hesitation grew. Their ships moved slower. Their formation wavered slightly. Then another message arrived on Earth's sensors. A short pulse from the Empire, not a threat, not an attack, a signal of confusion. They don't understand us, Megan said. Ryan nodded. Good, he pointed to the battlefield. Because they attacked a species they didn't understand. Earth fired again, hitting 2 ships at the edge of the Empire's formation. One ship's engines flared and died. It drifted out of line. The Empire backed away slightly. Megan stared. Are they retreating? Ryan did not answer yet. He watched their formation carefully. Slowly the fleet turned. They still kept weapons ready, but their engines shifted direction. They were pulling back. Ryan let out a slow breath. Yes, they're retreating. Cheers almost filled the room, but Ryan raised a hand, stopping them. This is not over. They will regroup. They will plan again. Megan looked at him. But Earth survived. Ryan nodded. Earth survived the first wave. Outside, the Empire's fleet continued turning, moving away from the grid. They did not fire again. They did not speak. They simply retreated into the dark. Captain Laura Pierce watched the readings from her broadcast chamber. She felt a warm, quiet pride inside her chest. The message had reached them. It had shaken them. It had forced them to reconsider. Daniel slumped into a chair in his orbiting facility. He closed his eyes and whispered, "We did it." Across Earth, people in shelters felt the ground settle. The distant hum softened. Messages arrived telling people the worst had passed. Parents hugged children. Friends cried with relief. Strangers held each other in silence, but Ryan knew the truth. This was only the beginning. Humanity had stood against the Empire and survived. Their message had thundered across the galaxy, and now every species was listening. The Empire retreated, but they would not forget what happened, and neither would Earth. Ryan looked at the dark space beyond the grid and thought quietly, what we become next will change everything. The Empire's retreat brought temporary relief, but no one on Earth believed the danger had passed forever. The defense grid flickered with fading light, still glowing from the strain of the battle. Smoke drifted inside Daniel Brooks's facility as engineers repaired damaged systems. Below them, Earth cities slowly returned to calm as emergency alerts softened. People stepped out of shelters, unsure whether to celebrate or remain cautious. Inside Strategic Defense Command, the atmosphere was quieter than before, but the tension had not vanished. Officers walked between stations with softer footsteps. The main screens showed the Empire's fleet moving farther away from the Sol system, yet no one allowed themselves to relax too much. Ryan Cole stood at the center of the room, arms crossed, watching the retreat as if expecting the ships to turn around at any moment. Megan Price approached him slowly, holding her data pad. "They're still moving away," she said. "Their engines haven't slowed." Ryan nodded, but his expression did not change. "They're regrouping. They'll try to understand what happened." Megan lowered her voice. "Do you think they will attack again?" Ryan took a long breath. "Yes, but not today, not tomorrow. It will take time." The message shook them. They saw something they didn't expect. Megan stepped closer. They saw that humanity can stand against them. Ryan finally allowed a small, tired nod. "Exactly." He turned back to the screen. "But they will return with a better plan. We have to be ready long before they do." Megan tapped her pad nervously. "I think I finally recovered the last piece of the unknown message." Ryan's eyes shifted toward her. "Show me." She handed him the pad. The text appeared in simple lines. It was from the same unknown source, written long before the Empire attacked Halcyon Ridge. Ryan read it aloud in a low voice. "If they strike you with fear, you will rise with strength. If they push you to the edge, you will become something they never imagined." Megan said softly, "The Empire saw this and believed humanity was a danger." Ryan stared at the screen for several seconds. "They misunderstood something important. The message wasn't describing what we are. It was describing what we become only when attacked." Megan nodded. "They created the very thing they feared." Ryan lowered the pad slowly. "And now the galaxy knows it." Across the system, Captain Laura Pierce stepped out of the broadcast chamber. She had delivered the message that echoed through space. She had done her part, but she felt the weight of it pressing on her now that the battle was over. A group of officers approached her and thanked her for her work. She smiled politely, but her mind remained focused. Her message had reached the Empire. It had reached dozens of other species as well. No one knew how the galaxy would react. General Olivia Carter held a private call with Ryan shortly afterward. Her face appeared with a mix of pride and concern. "Well done, Commander," she said. "The defense held. The broadcast reached every listening station. Earth stands." Ryan's voice remained steady. "We survived, but the Empire will not give up." Carter nodded as if she had expected that answer. "I agree. They will retreat, rethink, and prepare. But we have time now. Time to build alliances. Time to strengthen defenses. Time to let the galaxy understand why we stood our ground." Ryan asked, "What's the Council's decision?" General Carter folded her hands. "They want to open communication lines to neutral civilizations. Many species sent inquiries after hearing the broadcast. Some are curious, some are afraid of us, a few want to talk." Ryan felt a quiet shift inside his chest. Talk with humanity. Yes, Carter said. They want to understand us. And perhaps they want to understand why the Empire attacked us so suddenly. Ryan did not smile, but there was a spark of hope inside him. This could protect us. It could, Carter replied, but it could also create new problems. Some civilizations may fear us more now. Ryan returned his gaze to the retreating fleet. We will handle one problem at a time. Below them, people on Earth began to gather in parks, streets, and open fields. They looked up at the sky with new eyes. Many did not understand the complexity of the battle. They understood only that humanity had faced a threat and survived. Children drew pictures of ships in the sky. Older citizens shared stories of past hardships. Families spoke quietly about what might come next. In one shelter, a woman told her daughter, "We are stronger than they thought." In another, a man whispered to his friends, "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will know who we are now." Ryan later walked through one of the observation halls in the command building, looking down at the planet. The sun was rising over the horizon, painting warm colors across the sky. Megan joined him, holding a warm drink in her hands. "You should rest," she said. "So should you," Ryan answered. She laughed softly. "Maybe later." They stood together for a moment in silence. Megan said quietly, "Do you think the Empire will ever see us as anything other than a threat?" Ryan thought about it. "That depends on what we do next. If we respond with fear, they will grow bolder. If we respond with strength, they will think twice." Megan looked out the window. "And if we respond with wisdom," Ryan gave a faint smile, "then we become something the message described." Later that day, Daniel Brooks returned to Earth for the first time since the attack. His clothes were still marked with grease and soot from the facility. Ryan greeted him with a firm handshake. "You kept the grid alive," Ryan said. Daniel shook his head. "We all did, I just kept the wires from melting." Ryan placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You did more than that, you gave us time. Without you, the battle would have ended quickly and badly." Daniel looked down. "It still scares me how close we came." Ryan nodded. "It should scare you, it scares all of us, but fear doesn't stop us, it keeps us alert." Daniel glanced at the sky. "Are they really coming back?" Ryan answered simply, "Yes." Later in the evening, Captain Laura Pierce met with General Carter in a quiet room. The mood was heavy but calm. Carter asked, "How do you feel about what you said to the galaxy?" Laura rested her hands on the table. "I meant every word, but I never expected it to carry this far." "It carried because it was true," Carter said. "You spoke from a place of strength, not hate." Laura nodded slowly. "I only hope the galaxy hears it the right way." "They will hear it however they choose," Carter replied. "But now they cannot ignore humanity. We are no longer silent." Meanwhile, far beyond the Sol system, sensors from other civilizations recorded footage of the battle. Some species studied Earth's defense grid with interest. Some feared humanity's sudden rise. Others admired their courage. A council from a distant world asked, "Should we contact Earth or avoid them?" A merchant guild on another planet watched the broadcast and said, "The Empire may not be as strong as we thought." A small species living in the outer edge of the galaxy whispered. The humans warned them to run. The message echoed again and again, spreading farther than anyone expected. Back on Earth, the political council held a long meeting. Voices argued back and forth, but in the end, they reached a new decision. Humanity would no longer stay silent in the galaxy. They would no longer remain hidden. They would take a place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as a force capable of defending itself. Ryan presented a plan to strengthen the outer borders. Megan proposed upgrades to early warning systems. Daniel explained how to reinforce the defense grid and improve the power relays. General Carter approved everything. "From now on," she said, "humanity builds a future that cannot be wiped out by fear." Night came again. The stars shone brightly as if nothing had happened, but everyone who had seen the battle knew the truth. The galaxy had changed. Ryan returned to the command room one last time before resting. He looked at the empty stations, the soft lights, the quiet machines. The room felt different now, not defeated, not frightened, ready. Megan joined him again, standing beside him in the dim light. "It feels strange," she said. "We won, but it feels like the beginning of something larger." Ryan nodded. "It is." She looked at him. "What do you think happens next?" Ryan's eyes stayed on the stars. The Empire will return and others will come. Some will want peace, some will want power, some will fear us, but whatever comes," he paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. "We will face it together." Megan smiled quietly. The broadcast really did echo across the stars. Ryan turned toward her. "Yes, and the next message will be even louder." Outside, the defense grid glowed faintly, no longer under attack but still alive, like a symbol of Earth's determination. Humanity had survived the first strike. They had spoken to the galaxy, and now every world knew the truth. The Empire fired the first shot. Earth answered with a message that thundered across the stars. Run! And the galaxy would never forget it.